What is up, everyone? The Vibe Kage here, and I'm redoing this one because, after thinking about it, I know I can do it better, and so I will. Of course, I'm making more changes, but relatively the same will happen with one key difference of Izuku, rather than having green eyes, he'll have red eyes. He'll have green hair, but be red eyes. An inverted Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho. So green hair, red eyes instead of red hair, green eyes. I figured it's a nice little twist and shift, and well, we're gonna see something fun happen with Deku and Yui. So, sorry, Gabby. Sorry. I did. Fuck. I don't even know why I'm yawning again. I stopped so I can actually catch my breath so I can not yawn. Damn. Let's just. Okay, slight differences because I know I'm redoing this. It was originally the first one I made, so I knew I was gonna come back to it. I just knew I had to do it. So, let's start with a slight change with Yoko Kurama. Originally, when he went on his solo mission that got him hurt, he was trying to steal something that he didn't need. It was just something he could have. Now, what it was an object that was supposed to just be valuable. Now, the timeline here, I'm changing it to where he was trying to steal a special fruit. Now, this fruit is something that only Enma, the judge of hell, or, Koenma's father, is supposed to eat. Fruit from his divine peach tree. Now, in Japan, the peach tree is very special. Well, not, is it Japan or... It was in a religion that I remember. I'm gonna have to remember that. Anyway, Kurama went to go steal the peach fruit. Now, here's the reason why these fruits were so impressive. Think of these as tree of might fruits or chakra fruits, things that were supposed to enhance your power the more you eat them. Kurama would, of course, indulge himself when he first managed to land. Find no one there and stopping him, he would proceed to eat one, notice his powers skyrocketing. It almost caused a double of pressure increase of his demon energy. Now, oh shit, as we now go, 10 minutes, Kurama has discarded the husks and empty places of the peaches that he doesn't fully eat. He just eats most of it and he just leaves the rest because he's kind of a gorge, a hedonist in this regard right now. As to the surprise of Kurama, not only are the peaches very delicious and sweet and give him power, but they're also acting like sake, or sake, if you will. And they're getting his ass drunk. Drunk, my god. He's just like laughing his ass off. Of course, the spirit force would find him. Kurama would go kill roughly the same amount of people. He would still get injured and he would then fall. He would, as a drunk, possess Inko Midoriya. But a slight unique thing happens. You see, he falls asleep and injured. Allowing his spirit to fully meld with Izuku. Now, his eyes do turn red, and the effects of the fruit still linger within Izuku. Now, what this means is there's some slight changes with Inko. 2 months after, like, she was 7 months pregnant, and Yoko would possess, baby Izuku, sort of melding his spirit. As, within the next 2 months, she felt her quirk mutate and change. Everyone noticed this as her basic levitation turned into full-blown psychic powers with telekinesis. She could easily move things. Everyone thought this was really weird, especially since, it's almost time for Izuku to be born. Hiccup. Back to the what if. As in, these constant checkups to the hospital, there's been a notice within baby Izuku's activity. He's, stretching and moving a little bit more, but little by little. It's really weird. They've not seen his eyes, but his green hair flows a bit longer now. As, yeah, we're gonna have it where he's gonna have Kurama's hair length, but just green. So, yeah. Here's where another thing is gonna be very different. As we know how Soichi Minamino was in Yu Yu Hakusho, a very smart, caring person. Deku, he's going to be a mixture of Soichi and Izuku. So he'll have the, desire to be a hero. And his quirk that they call a mutation from his basic mother's and father's quirk, because actually Deku's quirk did not activate. This is actually Kurama's lingering powers within Izuku. As Deku is already freakishly strong as a mere baby, they found out plants really do grow when he's happy. When he's sad and cries, they will wilt and die. If he's angry, they would start sprouting out chaotically. They thought it was a form of plant manipulations. So, it was really weird, especially because this didn't really explain how Inko, she would get a boost with her telekinesis. Now, after she gave birth, there was a bit of a decrease, but overall her powers, it found a nice stable in between. They weren't as powerful as they were when she was pregnant with Izuku in the last 2 months, but they were still more powerful than normal. They could actually compete with, someone who had pro hero training, actually. It was kind of cool. It made her confident, and she and Hasashi would, the two would grow closer together. Hasashi would not be as far away due to Inko's new dominance in this relationship. Yeah, Hisashi can blow his flames, but Inko can just make it clutch him and, squeeze them without actually needing to touch him. She could do it anywhere in public when he misbehaves. So what I'm implying is that Inko has Hisashi's nads in a vice, and any sign of misbehavior, she would not hesitate to just force crush them. And yeah, so Hisashi's a good boy. Now, we are at the age of 4, where Deku, he's gotten a good understanding what his quote-unquote powers are, but here's the thing that not many people know. Deku, he's very stoically, oh, hello, Chungus. My friend, hello. Would you like to join me? Cool. Good kitty. Oh, there she is. If you can hear her purring, here is my cat Chungus, who woke up from a little nap from the other room. I gave her some mozzarella cheese. She loves eating it. She loves the stuff. Oh, she's a good kitty. Oh, I love you too, Chungus. Yes, you are a good cat. Anyway, back to the what if. As we go to, Deku, although he feels conflicted. He's been having these weird nightmares. He wakes up, but he doesn't scream. He's just panting heavily. As what he remembers, or what his nightmares are in a sense, Yoko Kurama hung over and trying to remember, the fights that he's gone through, all the horrible shit that Yoko Kurama had been through. Slowly but surely, Izuku's getting a glimpse of what his past life used to be. And he's aware that, this is who he used to be, because The very first memory he has is, falling into Inko, which he thought was weird. Slowly but surely, he would see that from that weird fox form spirit that fell into Inko, it was a man. This man would be known as Yoko Kurama. This dream sequence would continue on for the next 4 years until Izuku's 8. At this point, he's memorized, learned, and he's kind of ashamed with who he used to be. His whole admiration of heroes is there, but there's now this weird thing about Deku, if you will. Something about him that makes him more reclusive. Inko noticed this, and she was wondering what's wrong with her son. She hasn't really done anything wrong. And, Deku and their relationship has gotten a strange toll on this. Now, in case you're wondering, no, she didn't have another child with Hisashi. And, see, here's the thing. Maybe she's thinking a new sibling would be good for him. She wants to talk to Izuku, but... Chungus, you almost knocked down my phone right there. Oh, I love you. I love you too. Oh, Chungus. Alright then, I'll be right back. I have to go give Chungus something, clearly. She wants attention. I'm back. I let Chungus out. Anyway, where was I going with this? Shit. Right. Deku and Inko have this strained relationship, mostly because, Deku feels he's undeserving of, being loved unconditionally by this woman who doesn't actually know that her son, technically isn't her son anymore, but also at the same time, he is and isn't. It's really weird. You see, very early on, and this is actually what I really wanted to do, this is the main perspective I wanted to do, Deku, literally at the age of, from 4 to 8, has struggled with an identity crisis. He actually remembers relishing in all the things that he would do. He realizes that the reason why he's so freakishly strong as a child, this plant manipulation, all this extra good, beneficial tricks that he has nothing to do with his quirk. His quirk actually never once awokened. And, this made him think, did he just, actually finesse her son? Did he rob Inko Midoriya of actually loving her own son? Of course, she wouldn't be aware to this. She would actually think that Kurama's her own son, but Kurama would know better. Kurama would know that he's not her son. Kurama feels conflicted. He feels torn. He doesn't know why. Why does he even care? What is this sensation that he feels when he realizes that, he's pretty much used Inko Midoriya? She knows nothing of his past crimes and, puts him on a pedestal. Constantly would give him gifts, things that he doesn't really need. Recording. Strange. I rarely get messages from them. Or, at least when I do, it's not really like a full-blown conversation, just, some quick, how you do. But, I'm good, I guess, but, I don't know. Just continue, actually. Now, this might be kind of strange or fucked up, but I don't have anything to say. There's nothing I can say. this is gonna seem like I'm a dick, because now it's like technically willingly ignoring it, but I'm doing this, so I don't know. I'll just clear notifications. I'll just respond later. I can. Besides, meh, there's no point in me. We don't know each other. I'm making it seem like I'm more detached than I really am. Damn. Hey. Here is where. Sorry. Anyway. Pretty much we're having where Izuku, or Kurama in this case, he's conflicted, but he doesn't know why he's conflicted. Is he Yoko Kurama, or is he Izuku Midoriya? He could live a new life, but should he pretend like nothing he did mattered in the past? He's aware that, if they notice, I mean, in this world where people have superpowers, which he didn't know was like this, so he's confused. He didn't really pay too much attention in his drunken stupor, but, this world, it's a lot more different than what he thought the human world would be. And, yeah, you see, he didn't know people had superpowers like this, so the whole taking a human host body, he was thinking maybe he should have just taken a more human approach, like someone who was already towards the verge of death, maybe, rather than an infant. Because this whole world having superpowers intrigues him, and he does want to know more. But if he uses his abilities, and he's aware that his energy is different, but still kind of similar to Yoko Kurama, so if he makes too much of a notice here in this world, yeah, that might be trouble. That might be trouble for Inko. And he can't put his finger on it, but he doesn't want that to happen for some reason. He thinks part of him cares about her, but he remembers he had people like Yomi who, they followed him like to the ends of Earth, to hell and back even, and he didn't hesitate to blind him when he got out of his place. So what is this difference? What is this part of him that makes, him actually care for Inko? Now, of course, this is where things get a little bit more tragic, but not tragic at the same time. You see, Hasashi, Inko, and Izuku, they're 8 years old, and their 8-year-old son Izuku, my bad. They're all walking down the store. Nothing really bad is happening. That is, until we have, this one villain who he got his hands on some experimental quirk application drugs. At this time they're barely brand new, super motherfucking unstable. And his quirk was to able to bring the temperature down around him in his vicinity, by a decent 10 degrees. And that was pretty much his limit. Anything more, and, he would feel the effects of his quirk still. If 10 degrees got cooler around him, then, yeah, he would still feel the change in temperature, even through his clothes. So, yeah, he was deemed a worthless quirk person. And now, with this, he figured, this would be the best. This would, give him ice powers or some bullshit that he was hoping. Well, no. You see, he took it. It was unstable. And pretty much made him turn into a iceberg nail grenade. And would proceed to expel ice in a very jagged motion throughout the entire store. Hasashi would be impaled, and Inko would actually, push Izuku out of the way, which in this would actually cause not her to be impaled, but for her to get her stomach ripped open by the spike that would have impaled Izuku. At the angle that it cut, it just sliced the side of her, never entering her, but similar to just, as it grazed through her stomach. There is absolutely nothing more terrifying to Izuku than this. He doesn't get it. He's actually asking her, why would she do something like that? Like, why would that doesn't make sense. You could have lived if you would have just let me die. As Inko, she's smiling as, despite having a hole through her stomach right now, and Hisashi's dead body kind of a few feet away, she just calmly places a hand on Izuku's head, as she's just saying she loves him. That's her son. No matter what he does or whatever he grows up to be, she's gonna be happy because she knows he's got a powerful ability and he can do anything he wants. And to pull the Itachi, you know, she pulls him in, puts her forehead on his, and she says, no matter what, I will always love you. As she falls unconscious. Unconscious but not dead. As Izuku would roar out, screaming out at, the agony of what he perceives to be the death of his mother. This causes his quirk to manifest for the first time in what seems to be a very long time. But Kurama's energy flares at the same time as vines quickly sprout out of Izuku's body, all over, pretty much wrapping around all the ice, around buildings, not the buildings, around the building, supporting where things are breaking and things are starting to fall down. Now, despite these vines, holding everything in place, the ice would not be affected by it. You see, the ice actually starts to burn and melt away because through the roar of Izuku, a giant burst of flames was released outward in all directions, melting the ice. The plants, they're fine. They're not burning. In fact, seemingly at the very same time, they're absorbing all the moisture that was in, the air. All the ice that froze over, it's absorbing all the water. And to the surprise of Izuku, from the vines, the thorns, little roses are starting to sprout. Rosebuds are forming, and they're going throughout the whole store. Of course, Deku doesn't know what he's doing right now, but when he could hear just the faintest of heartbeats coming from Inko, now that she doesn't have the ice kind of cutting her belly, he focuses his hands. He wasn't too good at it, but he's gotta try. So he focuses his spirit energy in a form to heal Inko. He mostly didn't really bother with needing to learn how to heal people. He had the basics for his cuts, but there was never really a need for him, since he could use someone else and then kill them if they ever tried to betray him, and he could just find a new one. It wouldn't be that hard. Well, he treats Inko's injuries. The vines and the roses, they're still connected to Izuku throughout the entire time. Now, this does give enough time for the pro heroes to come in, save everyone from the debris that's still being supported by these thorns and roses. Unfortunately to everyone, the closer they would get into where the bundle is, there's an actual dome of vines just wrapped around this one particular area. And the roses are like a thick wall preventing them from entering. Now, not many people can break through this. A lot of people do remember there was a burst of flames and the vines and the roses never burned away. They seemingly absorbed all the water, so they're thinking it's okay. However, there are more casualties than normal. You see, while the ice spikes did impale other people, that's not what killed them. See, Deku also didn't know that this was his doing, but he was siphoning the energy from other people who were actually connected to the ice. The vines, sensed that they were going to die soon, so they figured might as well use it. So it pulled from their energy. Deku did this unconsciously. He wouldn't willingly do this if he knew what, Inko wouldn't want it like this. But I digress. As he does resurrect Inko much easier because of this, as he was able to harness the life energy from dying humans and pretty much pump it into Inko so she doesn't die. They do manage to rescue Izuku. We have a special hero who, she was interested when she saw the whole flowers and vines thing. Mostly because her quirk, it's, very similar. This is someone who I'm adding from a different anime, so if you recognize it, kudos. If you do not, oh well. Now, well, I guess anime probably might not be the right word. We'll see. As this woman, she has green skin, red hair, green eyes. Her body is very different. She too has plant manipulation, and her body actually has very similar features to a plant. She can dig in roots, absorb water, but something about these vines and roses felt really off to her. They felt alive, but not in the way that plants live. They felt as if they were all breathing in for something else. Like the vines, they were attached to something. Like this was just, I guess you could say, like an anglerfish's light. And she knew if she would find the end of it, there would be some sort of monster, because there's this weird vibe about it. Of course, there was no monster. There was little Izuku tending to his mom. Her injuries were closed, but they could open up really easily. Izuku isn't really good at healing, but Inko's no longer in critical condition. She's just in pain. She's not in any life-threatening situations, but a couple months in the hospital, though. Like 3. So, what's going to happen to Izuku during these 3 months? Well, this woman actually watches over him. Only because his quirks seemingly worked very similar to hers. However, he would reject this. Now, what I mean is, rejecting that his quirk is similar to hers is he's saying that that's not his quirk. In fact, he doesn't know how to explain it properly, but the plants, his strength, yeah, none of that is his quirk. His quirk actually only recently awakened. Excuse me. It was a light burp. But I still burped. Anyway, where was I going with this? Yes, you see, she's asking Izuku to clarify more. Izuku's saying ever since he was born, he could always manipulate plants. He was kind of strong. His senses were always heightened. You know, he he doesn't know if it's anything special, but he could just learn things easier. He was much more equipped and much more adept to picking up things. Learning was nothing new to him. Everything. Yes, everything was yawning, tiring. No, everything for Izuku, changes. He doesn't think that these plants were his quirk, or at least, he doubted his connection to his mother and his father. Well, that wasn't until, that incident. On the verge of seeing his mother's death and his father being impaled, something burned deep within him and then was released. She's asking, what does he mean? He opens his hands, and flames appear in his hands. He takes a deep breath in, and breathes out some flames. Here's to her surprise, the flame ball that he's breathing out fills the room. Like it's expelled, but it does not extinguish itself. As Izuku's saying, I didn't want it to go out. It costs more energy, but he's moving it with his hand, guiding the flame. Soon the flame actually takes the shape of a snake. Izuku saying, as the flame comes near him, and then it extinguishes. His real quirk is flame conjuration. Well, it was his father's quirk. He then looks over to the empty bed next to him, sticks out his hand, and then the pillow goes towards him, shocking the pro hero. She's just like, what is this? As Izuku's saying, my mom's quirk is telekinesis, my father's quirk was fire breathing, and that was pyrokinesis. I have them. My mom and my dad's powers. But the plants aren't mine. So what are they? As Izuku now has to think about this. During these 3 months that he spends away from Inko, he thinks Inko would not want to see him. Not the case, but, he's trying to think. If he didn't possess this woman's body, attempt to steal her son's body, he would have had pyrokinesis. But if that was the case, that means this plant manipulation really is Yoko. But the whole fire thing, how does Yoko have it? Or is he Yoko? Or is Izuku the one who has plants? Did Yoko die and leave plants for him? But if that's the case, why does he have Yoko's memories? He grabs his head and slams it into, the wall a couple times. He's so confused about this. There's actually no one who he can talk to. It's really terrifying for him. As time would progress, we would have... It's still during the 3 months, by the way. My bad. Go down. As Deku, despite having his conflicted emotions, his identity crisis, he is looking forward to his mother's release date. So he would be going to a different store, of course, since the one they normally go to has been shit on, where there's this one girl. She has black hair and cerulean eyes. The photo doesn't really do it right because they gave her black eyes in it, but I digress. As, she has a neutral, blankless expression on her face. That is until she would see Izuku's blood rose red eyes. As she would instantly blush. She doesn't know why, but her heart just instantly was drawn to him. Izuku would notice that this girl is actually looking at him, staring at him, despite him being by himself. It's kind of weird because he is an 8-year-old at the store alone, and she's not alone. She has her mom, but her mom notices that she's staring at the boy, and she says, "Go ahead and say something if you want to. Maybe he could be your friend." As Yuri, she shakes her head no, saying chances are it probably wouldn't work out. He's really cute. She's just like, "Wait, why am I acting like this, Mom?" As her mom chuckles and saying, "Oh, sweetie, it looks like you have your first crush." As Deku's hearing is very strong, so he could hear this. So he would, quickly get out of the sight range. So when Yui would look up, she would look disappointed because she doesn't see Deku. Of course, unbeknownst to her and her mother, Deku moving at really high speeds turned out to be, in the same aisle, just 2 feet away from them. As, she's saying, he's gone. As, a gloomy expression appeared on her face, and Deku just casually would say, "What's wrong?" As, they both jump, and they're surprised as Deku is saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to scare you. I'm Izuku Midoriya." Which, for some reason, it leaves a weird taste in his mouth the moment he said it. As, he visibly changes his expression after saying his own name. Yui would catch this. The mother is still kind of freaked out at how fast this kid moves. That's some horror movie serial killer speed, my guy. Where boom, I'm right here. Oh no, no, please stay away. Please stay away from me, good sir. Nah, you finna die.
Well, GG's, my guy.
Anyway, as we now go to, not Naruto, Yui and Deku, they're looking at each other as she's just saying, "I'm Yui." As, he nods, Deku decides, fuck it. He would run his hand through his little green hair. It's not too long, it's down to his shoulders, as he would pull out a red rose, seemingly out of nowhere, as then he would offer it to Yui. Yui would blush, accept it, and, the two, they'd say goodbye. Now, we do a 1-week time skip for Inko to arrive to the house. Everything's nice and clean, and it's Mitsuki who's dropping her off, as, she's saying if you need anything, just call. And to Inko's surprise, there was young Izuku. He was sitting at the table. He was waiting, pretty decently, so he's asleep right now. It's kind of early in the morning. It's 3 a.m. for little Deku. She's kind of sad because, even though it's not a school day for a child to be waiting up like this, she would go to try and, nudge Deku to wake him up, but he would grab her wrist. Unintentionally, he would put enough pressure to squeeze. Inky would actually yelp out in pain. This would cause Izuku to quickly awaken, as he quickly begs for his mother's forgiveness. He did not mean to hurt her like this. As Inko saying, no, sweetie, I get it's an accident. She's clutching her wrist as she is backing away from him. A little hint of fear in her voice, and Deku could sense this. He backs away. Mom, I'm sorry. As he quickly turns, he's about to run away. He feels like maybe Yoko Kurama can't be happy like this. Yoko Kurama was a killer. He stole things. He betrayed several people. So, why would he get to live a life like this? Why should he get to live with a woman who loves him? You know, he even stole the woman's child from her. She doesn't even know that, though. What would she think about this? What would she do if she found out that her baby boy, you know, is a demon fox? Well, sort of. You know, he doesn't know what he is. He looks human. His energy is different from Yoko Kurama, but just not enough for him to, just be comfortable to say, yeah, no, I'm definitely not him. It's one of those, like, I don't know if it's Yoko Kurama or Izuku, but nah, neither of them feel right. You see, during this time, as Deku's about to hit the door, he bumps into someone who he didn't think he'd see. This is still late as fuck, so it's like 3 a.m. Of course, to the surprise of, Inko and who's at the door, it's the hero. The hero's here. Now, I bet you're wondering why she's here. Well, she came here and she's been watching over Izuku. She had a feeling, if Izuku were to see his mother, maybe he would try and do something like this. So she had her agents monitor the whole building, and they're just waiting. She actually is just at the door. She was about to knock to talk to Inko so she can explain a theory that she has about young little Izuku. Izuku would bump into her, and he would be like, shit, I'm caught. Before he could say anything, we have Inko hugging Izuku, saying, Izuku, please don't go. I was so sad when I didn't see you. I wanted to see you those 3 months, but I knew you wouldn't want to see me like that. You probably don't get it. I saw how confused you looked when I told you it. And I don't know why it made me feel like this. Why I feel like I failed as a parent. But I do love you, Izuku. You're my precious son. I don't want to lose you. As, this is where Izuku would say, but I'm not. As, Inko saying, I gave birth to you. I've raised you for 8 wonderful years with Hasashi. One incident that we don't ever need to talk about won't change the fact that I love you. Izuku would break down crying. The hero would feel kind of awkward right now, so she would dip out. She would tell Inko, she would be back in, a few days to talk to her about Izuku and his quote-unquote quirk awakening at the hospital. Not the hospital, at the store. She was just like, wait, what? She's saying, yeah, I'll explain. We'll talk. We'll talk later. As, we go to the next morning, Deku lays out everything. Everything possible to his mother. Everything that he knew. Of course, she was skeptical about it with all the whole plant things. And, yeah, she kind of didn't mind the whole, her son just having plant manipulations. Sure, it doesn't have to be her quirk or her husband's quirk. Until she saw him using telekinesis, the fire breathing, and then pyrokinesis. It made things kinda weird. So she asks, who is he? Is he Izuku or is he this Yoko Kurama? He's straight up saying, I don't know. So she asks him something that he himself, with all of his wisdom, did not bother to ask himself, who do you want to be? You know, silence befalls them for roughly 10 minutes. Izuku finally breaks the tension when he's saying he doesn't want to be Yoko. So be Izuku. But Kurama's sins cannot be forgotten. The things that I did, that Yoko did. Izuku is my son. He has a quirk that lets him manipulate fire, produce fire, and move some things around. Yoko Kurama was a bandit that attempted to steal my son's body. Through some weird form of another, it didn't work out. I don't know if my son Izuku would have been like how you are. I don't know if you would have had full control, if you would have Nani? Kyoto Seta as shit. Inko, where was I going this? Inko's yeah, my bad. Inko, she's just like, if you were to have taken full control of him, where no aspect of him remained, and you would have looked just like an exact copy of yourself, would we have said that would have been Yoko Kurama? Even though you would have been named Izuku Midoriya? You know, she pats his head, ruffles up his green hair, saying, this hair is mine, not yours. You said Yoko Kurama had long white hair. But look at this. Your shaggy green hair is just like mine. As Izuku, he hears this out. Your red eyes are Sashi's. You even have the quirks. I think you're neither. And you're both. You're Yoko Kurama and you're Izuku Midoriya. Two separate people who originally had nothing to do with each other. Fate had different chances. Maybe you get a second start. Maybe Izuku is doomed to be, someone bad. Both of them were equal possibilities. But you just said it yourself. You don't want to be Yoko. You like heroes. Or maybe that's just Izuku. She giggles as she remembers the compliment she was get as, the boosted quirk of her telekinesis because of Izuku and his plant manipulations, the whole being praised to be a great hero early on. The first 4 years of his development, Yoko Kurama's memories and existence were gone. Yoko Kurama was a blank slate, just like Izuku. So, in a sense, Yoko Kurama and Izuku Midoriya, while they're not the same person, they are in fact still the same person. One past and one future that had met together to create something new. This is Inko's current life. This is her present. Her present is her baby boy Izuku, the greatest gift she's ever gotten. As she decides, try the hero thing. Your powers are unique. You don't have to use your plants if you don't want to. They were just born with you, just like how the quirks were. They just had to be awakened. You're my son, Izuku, and I love you. As he cries into his mother's arms. Hey, this is an old ass song. I'm gonna have to pause it. then I'm back. Fuck, where was I? Yes, they cry into each other's arms as Inko states her motherly love is stronger. Stronger than what Kurama had anticipated. Despite what he is given a new chance. Before his memories came back, he was his own person. He was being Izuku Midoriya. Just because he remembered who he was doesn't mean he can't not be Izuku Midoriya. If he becomes a hero, why not drop the Yoko part? Be the beautiful rose hero, Kurama. So, yeah. Now, in case you're wondering how him and Bakugo's relationship are, non-existent. Like, non-existent. The two just never actually interacted. It would be as simple as just Inko and Mitsuki, they're friends, but they never got their kids together. One play date, and when the two just, blatantly would not look at each other, they realized, yeah, let's just not force this. So, while the two are aware of each other's existence, they don't really fuck with each other. However, during the next 6 years, Deku and Yui would actually grow very close together. The two begin to have feelings for one another. Bakugo would be aware of this, and he would want to try and sabotage him. Try and figure out a way to steal his girlfriend, or make him look like a piece of shit in front of his girlfriend. But he would get bodied. Despite his explosions, Deku's ability to manipulate fire, or just the ability to repel things in general, would pretty much block out Bakugo. Of course, that's before he uses his plants. Or, fuck it, if he just wants to go hand to hand himself. Izuku's physical strength, at 14 years old, is comparable to a 15% full cowling Izuku. All because of the fruits that Yoko Kurama had eaten. Now, is he physically trained? No. Does he have self-defense? Sort of. He's mostly going off of the memories that he had gained, letting his body kind of move on its own. He still does the whole analyze a fight and then react. So, yeah. Here's where things become a little bit more different. Although Yui and Deku never go to the same school, Bakugo is able to convince this brown-haired girl to pretty much hit on Deku. She would try everything to get Deku's attention. She actually did kind of find Deku cute too. She already was one of those fangirls that would be obsessing over him. And also the fact that her drive for money and Deku clearly bound to be a great pro hero. The two had to be. It is destiny. They're supposed to be together. As... Nope. As a scene of my comedic gold. Comedy gold? You see, we have young Izuku. He is sitting near the fountain by the koi fish. He's breaking off part of his lunch, a few pieces of extra bread that he would but just have for the fish, feeding them. When, Uraraka, she would come down, she would say if she could eat her lunch with Deku. Deku, of course, would say, he doesn't really mind, go ahead. She would eat a simple burger that she would get from the school. Of course, this is where Bakugo would make the joke and saying, see, look at this idiot. Look at him, just eating so casually with this one broad. He takes a photo and saying, what would Izuku's girlfriend do? when she sees him with a lesser female. Probably go with the better guy, that is Bakugo, of course. He's talking some shit where Izuku just calmly, he folds a book that he was reading. He sets down his sandwich. He sighs as my man wastes no time in hesitating with this roast, as he begins to explain why will he not only not want to date a gold-digging thought barrel named Uraka Uchako. He also knows the fact that Bakugo's nano dick ass, 3-pump chump, pin needle thicker than his ass, non-glicky existent attachment, Ken doll ass. There's no way now Yui would go for that. As, Deku, my man stands up. He would casually just brush his hair past his ear, pull out a red rose, and in an instant, turn it into a whip, slash every single one of Bakugo's goons' pants to shreds, leaving, even their boxers are caught up into panty-esque designs. Bakugo, his shit is just completely gone. His school uniform torn up. Bag is to shit. It looks like he's wearing a G-string, but very, very torn, I guess you could say. As, he's spinning the rose whip in the air still, as it starts to glow red. This is what's going to surprise a lot of people. As then he's saying burning rose whip, as it ignites into flames, as then the thorns around it, the flames then expelled towards outwards, almost as if flames were shooting from the thorns as well, not just coating the whip, but as if flaming thorns are also on the whip, as he lands it and makes it slam into the ground, thus causing a great crack and crater to form. The weight of this is tremendous. The flames are easily burning. They're a beautiful crimson red. It's like a mixture of rose petals just flowing around the flames, dancing brilliantly. And, to the surprise of many, a sweet aroma of roses do fill the air. The flames, what they burn, it begins just to smell like roses. He retracts it quickly into a regular rose. He throws it towards the phone that Bakugo had. The rose would then kind of like a shuriken or a senbon needle just kind of go through the phone, go towards the school, pierce the wall. The phone is in between the rose and the wall, just dangling there. Izuku just smirks at Katsuki Bakugo as he tells him, your mom knows my mom, so if you need a new phone, I don't mind paying for it. He walks away, he looks at Uraraka, and he's saying, yeah, you can keep on trying, but Yui, she much better than you are. Which Uraraka takes offense to. So, we will now do the time skip of 10 months. Deku and Yui have been training together. The sludge villain incident doesn't really happen due to the sludge villain getting burned by Izuku. Izuku was able to push him back, so All Might was able to capture him. Simple autograph. There's no need to ask if I can be a hero because his mom already believes in him, and so does fucking Yui, my guy. there's no need for him to cling on to All Might. So when All Might leaves, takes the Sludge Villain, it's over, it's GG's. And to make it very simple, I am just gonna give Mirio one for all. And this one only because, something fun's gonna happen when him and Deku start to fight, and Deku is pushed. Now, there's more things to come. For you see, we also have some experiments that were done by Area, of course. Overhaul would extract her blood, and due to some, for easier to explain, All for One just going to Chisaki after killing his leader and telling him just join with us. I mean, it's kind of easy. You see, Aries' blood now turns into a gas that can revert and regress people back into states of, how old Aries would be. She's no more than 4. Now, this means, depending on the dosage of gas, you could be regressed by 10, 20, 30 years. You see, All for One actually uses this to age himself back into his prime. Now, he, of course, would still wear the mask and keep it hidden from everyone else. Even Shigaraki doesn't know. Only Dr. Ujiko and Kuragiri know. Everyone else is in the dark. Well, I guess you YouTubers who are watching this know this, and I, the creator, know this, but I digress. It's Kill Yourself by Suicide Boys. I really like that song, so I was playing it a lot. I don't even regret it. But I'm skipping it. Let's see. Oh. Stay for the night. Nope. Just nope. I've tried my best to go through that. Oh, fuck it. I'm trying to find a good song, actually. Yeah, this. I'm stalling for time, I guess, but now let me just. It's an acoustic. I don't want acoustic though, but it's a good song. You know what? Yeah, fuck it. The Joestar rap cipher featuring Rustage, Nutux, I can't say the name, Sadagwa, Jay Shoddy, Ikru, Chichi, and Caleb Hiles. I probably said it wrong, but I do not give a fuck. Fuck it. I'm gonna pause this real quick. Damn. Shit. Fucking hell. I'm trying to actively fight falling asleep. I'm struggling. I'm ended here. No, not yet. Ow. Could not get my other neck to pop. Damn. Shit, where was I going with this? I already forgot. I got derailed from my train of thoughts. And now I probably have like 3 minutes of filler time of just talking. You know what? Fuck it. I'll take it as the end. Goodbye.